Hi there guys, my name is Jacob and welcome back to the channel. Now I don't know about you, but for me I think living in the UK right now is as hard as it's ever been financially. And that is purely because everything that we buy and the services that we use just keep going up and up in price. But our wages and salaries just don't go up at the same pace. And ultimately it just leaves us all feeling a lot worse off. And I'm feeling this quite a bit now. And I know a lot of people that I know are too. I mean, the biggest one for everyone is, of course, housing and, either a mortgage or a rent cost. And these costs, are at the highest they've ever been because interest rates are very high and house prices are also incredibly high, which means whether you've got a mortgage or whether you're paying rent, that is undoubtedly your biggest cost in your monthly bills. And, with house prices as they are, I just don't see this changing. And it's probably only going to get worse if we're being honest. And, I've just finished reading an article about energy prices. Energy prices are set to go up again in April and again in July. And it's a little bit far away to get an accurate guess. But they're also saying in October that it's going to go up as well. So, I mean, energy prices right now are already nearly double what they were kind of 5 years ago for like the average person. That I think it used to be more or less £1,000 for electric and gas. That would be your yearly bill. And now the price cap is somewhere around £1,800. Now, I know it's come down from a couple of years ago when, the whole Ukraine war thing kicked off and energy prices went to like £3,000 a year, something like that, something absolutely crazy. But we're nowhere near where they, coming back down to where they used to be. And to be quite honest, I don't see them ever coming back down to that. I think we're now this is kind of the new normal, that, £1,700, £1,800 a year. That is just the new normal. And as much as, politicians and people want to say that they're going to do all these different things to bring bills down, ultimately, I don't think that's going to happen. And that's just the reality I think we all are facing. Other bills I've got going up, I mean, council tax. My local council has just said bills from April are, going up 5%. My TV and broadband provider, I was paying around £45 a month up until the end of this month. They've just sent me a renewal letter. They want £96 a month off me from the start of next month for the exact same services. So 45 to 96. So more than double for the exact same service. Absolutely crazy. And no, I will not be renewing that. I'm actually cancelling that, and I've found a different provider that will give me less service, but I'm reducing it because, to be honest, I don't think I need it anyway. And I'm just going broadband only from now on, and I'm just going to see how I get on with that. But I've actually managed to find that for £25 a month. So I'm actually saving £20 a month there, which is, a very welcome bonus. But I mean, everything we have these days, you go and do your food shop. Food shops are just crazy prices now. I remember when I could do my total food shop for the week between £40 and £50. Now £50 feels like a top-up shop, where you just go and get a few items midweek because, you needed a few things that you missed. It's like, everything is just so expensive. Car insurance, God, that's another one I got hit by recently. My car insurance provider sent me a renewal letter. They want an extra £300 from what I paid last year. It's just, and again, I'm not renewing that. I am searching around. I haven't renewed it yet, but again, that's on my list. But this is just something we're all facing at the minute, and everyone I speak to, friends, colleagues, everyone says the same thing, that, wages and salaries are just not going up at the same pace to match all these different price rises. And ultimately, something has to give. We can't all keep soaking up these price rises in things that ultimately we can't get out of. Because, like I just said with my broadband, it's okay, yes, I can change my package, reduce it down and have broadband only and save a bit of money. But you can't do that with everything. I can't renegotiate my council tax to have less services and get a reduced bill. Simply can't happen. The council tax is what it is and you have to pay it. And similarly with my mortgage, I mean, yeah, I could move house and move to a cheaper house and things like that, but it'd be so costly to do that. Some things we are just tied into. There's only so many Netflix subscriptions and Disney subscriptions and things like that that you can cancel before you're down to just your bare minimum expenses. And that is what you need to pay every month just to be able to live. That's not, going out, entertaining yourself, restaurants, the movies, things like that. That is, your bare essentials. We all have a number that is what we need to pay everything before we can do anything else. And that number is just, it seems to me, just growing and growing as the months and years go on. And I can't see any end to it. And this is why, if you've seen a couple of my last videos, you'll know that I recently got a solar panel and battery system installed at my house. And a lot of people were telling me, don't get me wrong, some were very positive, and I'm also incredibly positive about it. One of the best things I've ever spent money on, without a doubt. But some people were telling me, I could have invested my money better and got a better return on my money. But the thing that investing in solar panels and a battery has brought me, and this is one of the very key aspects to it, it's brought me control. It's not only reduced a bill, which is, my electric bill and my gas to a certain extent, but it's reduced my energy bill down to, a way more manageable number. But the main thing is it's brought me a sense of control back for that particular portion of my outgoings. Because, as I just mentioned, energy bills have just gone up in January, and they are set to go up again in April and again in July. And who knows when that's ever going to end. But now those price increases don't affect me. They do affect the majority of people. But right now, because I've invested in a solar panel and battery system, I've managed to take back control on that bill. And now I don't need to fear a energy crisis or a price rise or, the UK price cap going up. It doesn't affect me anymore. And that, to me, is worth more than just the simple financial aspect of, if I'd have invested my £9,000 that I paid for the system into something else, I could have got a better return. Well, maybe I could have, that's debatable. Maybe I wouldn't have, but for me, the sense of control that now I've not only reduced one of my biggest outgoings in the month, but now that is within my control, and it will be for the foreseeable future, regardless of whether there's, something else that causes some sort of energy crisis or something like that. That is worth more to me than any kind of financial investment, like buying a stock or anything like that. It's worth more than you could know. And if I could do that with my other bills, such as my council tax, things like that, if there was a way of investing a portion of money to then be able to bring that down indefinitely, I would do that. And I'd do it for any bill that I have. Because for me, reducing my monthly outgoings is something I want to continue to do. And obviously, the biggest one is my mortgage, which over time, I want to get the mortgage paid off. And that will reduce my monthly outgoings substantially. But monthly outgoings are something that basically traps us. I think it kind of, you can't retire, you can't quit your job or anything like that, because those outgoings that you have, and that it kind of goes back to that bare essentials number that I spoke about earlier, you have to cover that number no matter what. If you lose your job, those outgoings still need to be paid. If you want to take time off, those outgoings still need to be paid. So you're constantly trapped in employment, work, whatever you want to call it, for as long as, unless you can save up, invest in something like a rental property or something like that, that brings in additional income to cover your bills. But if you don't ever reduce your outgoings to a manageable level, you're never going to be able to retire. And, our parents and grandparents have had, I guess, the ability to retire early, a lot of them. I mean, I know quite a few people I know at my mum's age, my dad's age, things like that, have retired early. But of my generation, I'm 32 years old. I can't imagine there's going to be many people in my generation that are going to be retiring early. And of the few that do, they're going to be people who have really, knuckled down and really got a hold of their finances, made some really shrewd investments, things like that. Also, they might just be people who've inherited money, from nans and granddads, moms and dads, things like that. But it's going to be really difficult for people of my age or younger to retire early because, as I said before, house prices are just going up and up and up. Even with the increased interest rates for mortgages, from what I've read, it has not stemmed the flow of people coming into the market. Houses are still selling even with these increased mortgage costs. So it's not put people off like I assume the Bank of England was hoping for. Normally increased interest rates brings down the kind of appetite for people moving house and things like that. But I read an article just yesterday saying that, house sales are at their peak for the last couple of years. So it's really not putting people off. And I guess that's a good thing in one sense, because clearly people have got the deposits and things like that to be able to buy a house or to move house. But, I also see the other side of it, which is people in my office at work who are, 21 to 25 in that region. And they are just puzzled as to how they're ever going to be able to buy a house and get the deposit together. Because, as I said, that you've got all these other bills that you've got to cover, and then you've got to save for a deposit, and then your income's got to be enough that, they'll only lend you a certain amount. And as house prices just keep going up, even a very basic house is becoming almost unattainable in some areas of the country for young people. Now, I know there are cheaper areas around the country, but that then means people have got to move area. And for some people, that might be, if you live in London, that might be that you've got to move 50 miles out of London, maybe further, to be able to find a property that you can afford on a normal wage. And a lot of people don't want to move. And, there's a good argument to say, why should they have to move? But, with property prices where they are, I don't see any alternative really. But what do you guys think? I know this was just a little bit of a rant, but it's just something I've been thinking about lately. With so many bills going up, it is just becoming harder and harder to live in the UK. And I actually know somebody who's thinking of moving country and actually moving out of the UK. And it's because his job allows it. He's been looking at positions in another country for the job he does. And he thinks he could viably, move country. And, it makes you think. I think a lot of people might be thinking down that same, train of thought that, do I want to stay in the UK? And I know you hear on the news all the time about millionaires and billionaires moving out of the country. But I think as things get harder and harder for the average person, I think we might find that the average person does decide to, look elsewhere and think maybe I could move to Italy, to Spain, or, to other places that are slightly, less expensive to live in. But who knows? Guys, let me know what you think. This is just my thoughts as I turned the camera on and just decided to talk. But let me know what you think. Let me know whether you're struggling in the UK at the minute or whether you're thriving. And if you are, let me know, Leave me any comments down below that you'd like me to answer. I'm more than happy to get back to you. Guys, please consider hitting the like button and the subscribe button. And I'll catch you in the next one.